Welcome to this week's edition of the Boardroom Spotlight, the program that gives you unique access to the thoughts and tactics of the most powerful corporate executives of our day. Come along as we examine the experiences and perspectives of visionaries who are revolutionizing leadership, innovation, and business. On today's episode of the Boardroom Spotlight, we are joined by a remarkable entrepreneur whose vision and determination are driving business innovation across Zambia. From humble beginnings to building a brand that continues to scale and diversify, his journey is a powerful story of hustle, resilience, and strategic thinking. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Musiyani Sinyinza, a business leader making bold moves in Zambia's competitive marketplace.
So my name is Musiyani Sinyinza, and I run a company called Lumana Investments Limited. I run it with my wife. Yes. So the whole genesis of business came from the family background. Growing up in a family where everybody was vested into business, it really gave me that zeal to actually go for that. But apart from that, I think I concentrated more on school growing up than business. So I later went to school, then diverted back to business. I think that's a bit of a background where the business came from. So Lumana Investments, we are focused more on transportation, which is vehicle sales and car rentals. So Lumana was formally incorporated in 2022. But before then, there's a company that I was running. So how Lumana came about is I got a name from my wife. Yeah, she's the one that came up with the idea of the name. Yeah, then Lumana started, we registered it, and that's how the birth of Lumana came. So basically, Lumana is a car rental and a car sales company, and we've also re-diversified into other things like agricultural equipment and construction equipment. I think the car business, the challenges we've been facing the most in the car business is an economic factor. I think everyone in Zambia understands saying when the dollar is doing better than the kwacha, then everything just becomes disturbed. So I think most of the main challenge we've had with the business is the rise of the dollar, and also just the competition. You find you're competing with people who are, what word can I use? You're competing with people who are using certain means to bring into the business for them to, it's like, how can I put it? I don't know the word, but I think for us, it's the uniqueness of what we supply. That has made us stand out, and how we do it. I think the main strategy I would put out is making yourself available to your clients as and when they need something, in a way where they get to trust you, not because they've heard somebody talk about you, but how you present yourself. So with Lumana, I think we have grown our company to have the highest integrity. Even when somebody comes through, let's say for example first time client, they would definitely trust us because we put ourselves out there, especially on social media and everywhere else where people get to read about us, and also we show face, so they're able to know, okay, I'm dealing with these people, these are the people I'm dealing with. So we show face, they know what they're dealing with. I think the leadership skills I found helpful is teaching who you are working with, making them learn from what you bring on the table. Like for most of the guys in our team, I think most of them have learned from how I started and where we are. They've learned, they've grasped how I run business, how I talk to clients, how I bring in people on board. So they've learned from that. It's I think it's 50-50. It's easy when you understand the business you're in, because before you go into a certain business where you go full throttle into that business, you first need to run through the market and see if that's what you want to be consistent with. So I think running a business in Zambia, you need to be vested and consistent with what you want to do. Learn the business, then you go into it, not where you jump. We've seen people that have come into the car business. They'll start the car business, and a few months down the line, they leave because they haven't really learned how the dynamics work in the Zambian market. Okay, running the car business. Firstly, we are in competition with scammers. You find you are posting something, scammers will get what you're posting, repost it at a lower price. People will follow that. Then when they get scammed, they'll follow the actual original post. Then they'll come to you, no, I got scammed, whereby I'm sure it's somebody from your office. Now you ask them to show you exactly which post they were talking about. You find they were actually just scammed because somebody saw their weakness. So it's been a bit hard, especially on the scammer side, and also we are working with an economy that keeps changing every day. You find this month the dollar is at this, tomorrow it's at this. So you find you order vehicles, you bring them in, you order the vehicles at a higher rate, the vehicles are in, they're at a lower, the dollar has dropped. What do? You just break even. So it's a 50-50 thing. It's a fair environment. You just need to know and be logical on how you run the car business. It's hard. It's very hard if you don't know what you want to achieve at the end of the day. You need to be very creative. You need to understand the customer base. You also need to know that it's not always about getting the highest profits, but at least you get to sell what you bring in. You know, every business has a risk, and running a business in Zambia has a risk. You know, three quarters of Zambians, when they're entering into business, it's either they'll save up and start the business, but they do not understand what they are getting into. So you find it's not really an environment where you sit and say, okay, when I start this business, I'll get what I want from it. No. So there's a lot that needs to be changed. We need certain policies, especially for every business. I wouldn't say just the transportation business, but for every business, we need to look at the type of loans that people want to start business, but they don't have the capacity. So if we can bring in policies that will give us certain loans that have less interest, I think it would help many people to actually venture into entrepreneurship. The next 5 years, we're looking into partnering with the people that we've been working with from Japan and everywhere else, Japan, South Africa. So we've been working on something in the background where we can have vehicles brought into Zambia from Japan without paying them anything. Then we only pay them as and when the vehicles are sold. So that's what we're working on in the background. And also we're trying to work on 5-year payment plans for our customers, where customers are able to purchase vehicles and pay in 5 years. Yes. I think it's a game changer because where we're going, people don't want to remove huge sums of money just to purchase a vehicle. They would rather work on a payment plan. I think it's easier that way. They find it more easier and they get to reinvest their money. And like where you remove 100,000 and buy a vehicle at once, you'd rather pay a 30,000 than the 70 is split. only gap I would say we've identified as Lumana is just I would say being accountable. Many car dealers or people who are into car business are not accountable for what they sell. Yeah, so I think the gap we would like to cover up is just being accountable of what we bring in, and also just being accountable of every car dealership. As it stands in Zambia, I think most car dealers do not know that there's actually an association that they're supposed to be under. Yeah, so that association, it's I would say it's sleeping. That's why you get to find there's so many showrooms being opened without being regulated in any way. There's showrooms everywhere. At any given point you find somebody selling a vehicle unregulated. If we can regulate it, and we put it like the way properties are sold, where there's this, okay, you're a car dealer, okay, what's your license number? That way it even reduces on being scammed, because you will know, saying, okay, this car dealership, their license number is this, and you're able to look it up. So I think that's the gap we need to fill up before Lumana came to life. There was a company I was running. Which I started. I think that company, I incorporated it in 2013. Yeah, 2013. There was a time where, where you're posting things, there's no one who's looking, like there's no one who's calling you. 3 months, 6 months, you keep on selling, but there's no sales. At that time I said, you know what, let me first concentrate on the other things that I do, and like venturing fully into business. So I went back to started working. Then later on, I think that should have been 2019. Stopped work, went full into the business. Worked. It started going well. I think it started going well then. Then after 2 years, that's when Lumana came to life. And then from there on, we've had our ups and downs. The West, we've had situations where you bring in vehicles, you order vehicles, they show you pictures, these are the vehicles you're bringing in. The vehicles are reaching totally different from what you ordered. Excuse me. So now what do you tell the client? This is what you paid for, and this is what's there. The client decides, okay, I just want my money. And now as a company, it's usually hard where you've been waiting for this deal for 2 months, then they tell you they want a refund. There's funds that have already been used, misplaced in a way. So you find you get into losses. Yes, you actually get to spend more than what you're supposed to get in. For me, I think most situations that I've been through business-wise, I've had help from my wife. Yeah, I think she's been one of the best advisors. Yeah, not in a way where she would advise you saying, okay, get money from it, but she would advise you saying, okay, do this, do that, this will work, let's try this, let's try that. And I think it has worked out. For me, the first instinct when something happens to the business, it's I would say I want to cover up with my own resources. But she would put me in check where she says, you don't have to do that. Explain to the client what's on the ground. Explain to them, this is what's happening, this is, like, say it as it is, and it has always worked out. So like I said, we're diversifying. We've already started diversifying. So we're growing the car rental, which it's going on well, because we're trying to see there's certain challenges that we are facing with car sales, not just Lumana but everywhere else. The market has become so flooded in a way where there's competition, which not that we can't handle the competition, but it just not working out. If you invest all your energy in that, you might break the whole company. So we've diversified into car hire. Then now we're trying to diversify into a trucking business. Yeah, so the legacy we want to leave is where even when we are long gone, people would look at certain, I would say, machineries and they'll be like, oh, that's Lumana, there's Lumana there, and it's still running, because this is something that will live even for our children. That's how we'll grow it. Before you go into the business, into the car hire, into the car sales, first start learning the business. Learn the business, then you invest in that business. Do not invest before you learn the business. So if it's car sales, start trying to sell, let's say start selling other people's cars so that you actually learn to understand how that works. Or start involving yourself with companies that are doing car sales so that you learn how you go about it. Car hire, you just need to learn the business with car hire, because there's a lot of drawbacks in car hire which you don't even understand. When you start without understanding the business, you wouldn't manage. You would close down even in a month. So the best advice I can give anyone who wants to venture into any business, learn the business, then invest in the business. That way it will work out. Because if I look at 10 years ago, 2015, the economy was a bit flexible, but I would say we were still young, and whatever resources we could find would invest but use. So you'd find you have, let's say for example, 100,000. You want to invest 50,000, and 50,000 you misuse it. So if I met my younger self, I would tell them to invest all of it. Just invest, reinvest, keep investing. Before you know it, you're good to go. I think for me, one favorite car I would say is a Mercedes G-Wagon. Yeah, I think that's I love Mercedes actually. My daughter is Mercedes, by the way, so that's one car I would say, okay, I own this G-Wagon, the top of the range G-Wagon, where the seats are my names. Yeah, I think there I'll be like, okay, now I have reached. I think it's a vehicle that gives you certain status, even without somebody asking questions. They already know that, okay, this person is there.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Boardroom Spotlight. We hope our chat with Mr. Musiyani Sinyinza was informative and educative. Keep checking back for more episodes where we'll share more visionary minds who keep coming up with new innovative ideas that are changing the business world today. Till the next time.